This one's called Reading Series. It's for Paul. Sitting in a dark cafe, sipping espresso and underlining passages in a book by a French philosopher and historian, about to get out for a poetry reading, I felt so pathetically, revoltingly bohemian, so very fucking precious, that I wanted to drag myself out to the alley and beat my own ass. So as usual, I brought way more stuff than I have time to read. So if you want to read some of it, come see me, I'll give you one. This is called Why Would You Do That? Sick in bed, I dreamed that you showed up at my house. You were laughing as you woke me up by rubbing your bare feet on my face. At first I was mad that you would come all that way just to do such a thing to me. Then I was even madder when I realized you hadn't. So I wanted to write something about Cocos, because I do a couple of DJ nights here, and we've been doing this Tenderloin reading series for a long time. But I didn't. But I'll tell you a story. So like 20 years ago, I went to my very first concert show at Great American Music Hall around the corner. And that was not only my first show, but it was also the first time I'd ever seen a tranny hooker. She had this great pastel orange nail polish that I'll always remember. So last year, I was standing out in front smoking a cigarette with Jonathan, and this, I don't think she was a hooker, but she was like a tranny Tenderloin zombie. Saw us smoking and came across Erie through traffic, asking the whole way asking for a cigarette, until she actually got across the street and she saw Jonathan and was so awed by his beauty that she just stopped talking and just fixed on his face and just walked up and just stared at him lovingly and opened up her coat and showed us her fucking baby arm of a dick. It was great. Swung it around a little. I've never seen this man scurry so fast. So this is called a shameful victory.
You're the biggest grin on your face.
It was so fucking good.
You just
He straightened up and oh my god, it was so good. Alright, so this is called a shameful victory. I fucking hate pigeons. I emerged from one of those scaffolding mine shafts to see one pecking at trash just off the curb. I spit at it and nailed it in the back directly between its wings. A full-on thick smoker's hat gob, all mucus, heavy. It bobbed its idiot head wildly, tried to touch its wings together behind its back, spun around in circles there in the gutter. My lips peeled back in one of those uncontainable grins, my teeth bared, my satisfaction palpable. I looked up. I did. And there across the street, an old woman was stopped, dead in her tracks, aghast, had seen the whole transaction. She gave me one of the dirtiest looks that anyone has ever given me. And this is my last one, but it's pretty long. Let me separate the pages so I don't have that problem again. Alright, this is called Chicharrones. It's new. First time I ever read this. She came by on a Friday night. We both played it cool, pretended there was nothing strange about it. Her new fellow didn't like movies. She wanted to see this old flick with Warren Oates and Harry Dean Stanton, and I had it. I'd gone out to the store, bought her the root beer and gummy raspberry candies she likes, picked up the room a little, emptied the ashtrays. She wouldn't kiss me back. I missed you, stupid, I said. You shouldn't have dumped me, fool. I had nothing to say. She let me kiss her all over, rest my hand on her leg, grip her arm like I sometimes like to do. but she wouldn't kiss me back. She lay on her stomach, texting him. Her short skirt rode up. I looked at those tattooed thighs I liked so much. That great line where they met her little brown ass, crimson panties where they came together. I touched her thighs idly as she texted away, that phone that seemed an extension of her hand. Smiled to myself at her cold toenail polish. I slid those red panties aside, slid them off, quietly ate her pussy. She waited until she came before becoming indignant. We watched, we talked. It got late. She wouldn't kiss me back. God bless her, she stuck to her guns. I had to admire that. She told me she was tired, took off her clothes, got between the covers. I turned off the lights, put a Richard Conte movie on low, and held her close the way she likes until she fell asleep. When her breathing got heavy, I kissed her forehead and whispered to her, "I'm sorry, Teacher Ron, I'm so sorry." I don't know if you've ever spent a night like that with somebody you ain't supposed to. Nights like that live outside of time in some sweet limbo. In the morning, there's a savory anxiety, the knowledge that once one of you gets up and leaves, the spell is broken. Reality rushes in like water into a submarine with broken portals. We cuddled in bed, the quiet morning light filtered through my dirty windows. "I love you," she said out loud, for the first time ever, perhaps thinking me half asleep. I looked into her face. I said, "Pardon me?" "I won't repeat it," she whispered, looking down. I wrapped her in my arms, held her face to my chest, whispered back. I'd often told her I loved her, but never when she was awake. We fucked that morning, twice, trying to grip the last few hours, draw it out. Still, she wouldn't kiss me back. She kept looking at her phone though, that fucking phone. I got real quiet. "What?" she asked in that sexy, bratty way that she does. "Maybe I just saw your phone," I said. "Maybe it was a picture of you and dude. Maybe I got real fucking jealous. Maybe that's real irrational. Maybe I don't fucking care." "It's not my fault," she shot back matter-of-factly, and went back to whatever it was she was doing. I scowled, pouted tough, but I knew she was right. Finally, the time came. We got up, got dressed. But before we walked out to the street together, before our tone changed, before our conversation became louder, superficially nonchalant, we stood by the door. I drew her to me, one arm around her waist, the other on her face, kissed her hard on her mouth. And she kissed me back, just the once.
Yeah!